20. Controversial bands that suddenly disappeared after one hit. That will shock you. Welcome to Uncovered Tinseltown Uncovered, where today's countdown isn't just about music, it's about mystery meltdown and moments that vanished. Imagine scoring a global hit, topping the charts, and becoming a household name only to vanish overnight. Was it scandal sabotage or sheer bad luck? These 20 bands had it all for one shining moment. Then they were gone. What really happened? Stay tuned as we uncover the shocking truths behind their sudden disappearances. Hit that like button, subscribe for more jaw-dropping stories, and ring the bell so you don't miss the legends who almost disappeared from history forever. Crazy Town. Rise to fame was as fast as their fall. Formed in Los Angeles in 1995, the rap-rock group hit mainstream success in 2001 with Butterfly, a melodic genre-blending single that sampled Red Hot Chili Peppers' Pretty Little Ditty. The track soared to #1 on the Billboard Hot 100, catapulting them into global fame. However, that fame would become more of a curse than a blessing. Butterfly was catchy, but controversial. With lyrics like, "Come my lady, come, come my lady," the song was widely criticized for its overt sexual overtones. The Federal Trade Commission (FTC) publicly cited Butterfly as an example of the music industry's failure to regulate the marketing of explicit content to underage audiences. Despite its radio-friendly polish, the underlying tone of the track and its music video drew backlash from parent groups and media watchdogs. Crazy Town released their follow-up album Dark Horse in 2002, but it failed to chart significantly, peaking only at #120 on the Billboard 200, a dramatic decline from their debut album The Gift of Game, which had gone platinum in the US. Internal conflicts, poor critical reception, and mounting pressure from labels contributed to their unraveling. Lead singer Shifty Shellshock Seth Binzer became a magnet for media attention, not for music, but for his drug use and multiple arrests. His appearances on reality TV shows like Celebrity Rehab exposed the chaos behind the scenes. By 2003, the band officially disbanded. They would reunite later, but the cultural impact of Butterfly remained a lone, controversial highlight. For many, Crazy Town represented the volatile combination of overnight fame, unchecked excess, and the pressure to follow up lightning in a bottle. Yeah. Devo wasn't your average rock band. They were performance artists in hazmat suits warning about de-evolution. But in 1980, their eccentric philosophy collided with mainstream success when Whip It broke into the Billboard Hot 100, peaking at #14. Built around a robotic rhythm and cryptic lyrics, the song was unlike anything else on American radio. It became a defining anthem of the new wave movement. Yet its success brought more confusion than celebration. The music video for Whip It, featuring surreal ranch imagery and suggestive whip play, sparked national controversy. Though intended as satire of American machismo and consumerism, many viewers interpreted it as endorsing sexual domination. Despite Devo's explanations, the controversy overshadowed their message. MTV aired the video heavily, which only amplified misreadings. While Whip It gave them global exposure, it also boxed them in. Fans of the quirky hit expected more pop-friendly singles, but Devo returned to their experimental roots in follow-up albums like New Traditionalists and Oh No, It's Devo, which were more conceptually dense and less accessible. Their refusal to conform alienated casual listeners. Complicating matters, the band's intellectualism and anti-corporate themes clashed with the growing commercialism of the music industry. Record label pressure and the rise of more marketable acts pushed Devo to the margins. By the late 1980s, their popularity had waned significantly. Although they never officially disbanded, Devo's chart presence evaporated. They later became cult icons and were cited as major influences by artists like Nirvana and Daft Punk. But in terms of commercial visibility, Whip It remains both their crowning achievement and their prison. Devo didn't disappear due to lack of creativity. They vanished because their only hit was deeply misunderstood. Dishwalla. Dishwalla emerged from the post-grunge haze of the mid-1990s with a haunting philosophical question. Tell me all your thoughts on God. That line from their 1996 hit Counting Blue Cars struck a chord with spiritual seekers and alt-rock fans alike. The track peaked at number 15 on the Billboard Hot 100 and dominated rock radio, earning them Billboard's Best Rock Song of the Year award. Yet despite this strong debut, their momentum evaporated. The Santa Barbara-based band's thoughtful lyrics and melodic guitar work set them apart, but it also placed them in a niche. Some radio stations refused to play Counting Blue Cars due to its religious themes, misinterpreting the lyrics as anti-faith. The band clarified repeatedly that the song wasn't meant to offend, but the damage was done. In a decade sensitive to moral content, that kind of controversy mattered. Their follow-up album, And You Think You Know What Life's About, 1998, failed to make an impact. It received lukewarm reviews and struggled commercially, peaking only at number 134 on the Billboard 200. The band's sound, too alternative for pop, too melodic for hard rock, found itself stranded in a rapidly changing musical landscape. Compounding their challenges, internal fatigue and creative stagnation led Dishwalla to take an indefinite hiatus in 2005. Although they reformed in 2008 with new frontman Justin Fox, the magic of their original lineup, especially J.R. Richards' introspective voice, never quite returned. Their newer work was solid, but lacked the cultural resonance of their breakout single. Counting Blue Cars lives on in 90s playlists and alt-rock retrospectives. But Dishwalla's brush with mainstream fame was brief. A mix of thematic misinterpretation, shifting genres, and underwhelming follow-ups turned them into a textbook case of a one-hit wonder band that left a deeper message then disappeared. Video Kids. In 1984, European airwaves were overtaken by the surreal animated world of Video Kids, a Dutch Eurodisco duo that exploded onto the scene with woodpeckers from space. Built on a kitschy sci-fi theme and featuring a cartoon mascot named Tico Tack, the song was part novelty, part dance floor banger, and entirely unforgettable. It hit number 1 in Norway and Spain and climbed to number 14 on the Dutch Top 40, fueled by its wacky music video and infectious melody. But behind the outer space fun was a concept that divided listeners. Critics called the group a marketing gimmick rather than a legitimate band. The cartoon aesthetic and sampled Woody Woodpecker-inspired laugh made Woodpeckers from Space a love-it-or-hate-it cultural moment. The track became wildly popular in Europe but struggled to translate elsewhere. The duo's heavy reliance on image over artistry led many in the music industry to dismiss them outright. Their debut album, The Invasion of the Spacepeckers, sold over 1 million copies and earned them the Booma Export Award for international success. But their follow-up, On Satellite 1985, flopped commercially. The novelty wore off quickly, and the duo failed to evolve creatively. Their second single, Do the Rap, reached only number 9 in the Netherlands and disappeared soon after. By 1986, Video Kids had quietly split. Member Peter Slaghuis went on to become a successful DJ and remixer before tragically dying in a car crash in 1991. Bianca Bonelli passed away in 1995, closing the chapter on one of disco's most bizarre acts. Though they're fondly remembered by Eurodisco fans, Video Kids' oddball approach ultimately boxed them into novelty status. One meteoric hit followed by silence. They didn't crash, they just blinked out like a cartoon on a broken screen. 1T. When The Magic Key hit European charts in 2003, listeners were captivated by its genre fusion and animated aesthetic. Created by French producers Eddie Grandfier and Thomas Pied, 1T wasn't a traditional band. It was a virtual music project with stylized cartoon characters as its public face. Their breakthrough single blended hip-hop with electronica and nostalgia sampling. Czechoslovak prog rock band Blue Effect. The result was a European phenomenon, peaking at number 9 in France and reaching the top 5 in Austria, Denmark, Germany, and Poland. But for all its innovation, the project's format proved to be both its strength and its downfall. The Magic Key resonated thanks to its sonic originality and playful visuals, but the reliance on animated figures made it hard to build emotional connection with fans. There was no live frontman, no tours with charismatic leads, just digital avatars. That novelty wore off quickly. Their debut album, the 1T ODC, generated interest, but their follow-up singles failed to make a dent on international charts. Audiences who embraced the infectious charm of the Magic Key didn't respond to the increasingly darker or abstract tone of their subsequent music. Critics praised the production quality, but noted the disconnect between the music and the visual narrative. Unlike virtual acts like Gorillaz 1T didn't create a compelling mythology to sustain fan investment. And with no mainstream radio support outside of Europe, they faded from global relevance. By the late 2000s, the project had gone silent. 1T never officially disbanded, but without a second major hit, they vanished from the music landscape. The Magic Key remains a nostalgic relic of early 2000s European pop, brilliant, mysterious, and unrepeatable. Warm sounds. In 1967, as London pulsed with the sounds of counterculture and acid rock, Warm Sounds emerged with a trippy, whimsical single that seemed to encapsulate the spirit of the time. Their hit Birds and Bees climbed to number 27 on the UK singles chart, its dreamy harmonies and flowery lyrics making it a perfect fit for the summer of love. But just as they seemed poised to join Britain's psychedelic elite, the duo disappeared almost as quickly as they arrived. Comprising Denver Gerard, later known as Denny Gerard, and Barry Husband, Warm Sounds stood out with their Baroque pop sensibilities and breezy melodic songwriting. Their blend of soft rock and psychedelia earned them a brief spotlight, especially on pirate radio stations like Radio London, where Birds and Bees topped the Fab 40 charts. However, their follow-up single Sticks and Stones failed to chart, and the record label quickly lost confidence. Without substantial promotional backing or a clear direction, the band faltered. Behind the scenes, the members had diverging musical ambitions. Barry would soon join experimental acts like Hapshash and The Colored Coat, while Denny pursued solo work rooted in blues rock. By 1968, Warm Sounds had quietly dissolved. No scandal, no dramatic implosion, just the slow fade of a band that caught a fleeting moment but couldn't hold on to it. While their name might be obscure today, Birds and Bees is still praised by vinyl collectors and psychedelic pop enthusiasts for its lighthearted charm and vintage authenticity. Warm Sounds didn't vanish in controversy, but their disappearance was abrupt, unexplained, and final. One moment they were floating among the clouds of late 60s radio bliss. The next they were gone, leaving only one hit as a gentle echo of their brief melodic journey. Blind Melon. In 1993, Blind Melon became an alt-rock sensation almost overnight with their breakout single, No Rain, a jangly, melancholic track that was equal parts upbeat and introspective. Fueled by a wildly popular music video featuring a young girl in a bee costume, the song reached number 20 on the Billboard Hot 100 and became a symbol of 90s alternative culture. But as quickly as they rose, the band was derailed by internal struggles and a devastating tragedy. Formed in Los Angeles in 1990, Blind Melon fused folk rock with a southern flair, led by the haunting voice of frontman Shannon Hoon. Though No Rain catapulted them into the spotlight, their rapid success put immense pressure on the group. Hoon, known for his erratic behavior and unpredictable temperament, spiraled into a dangerous pattern of substance abuse. Despite rehab stints, his addiction worsened. On October 21, 1995, while on tour in New Orleans, Hoon died of a cocaine overdose at just 28 years old. His death was sudden, shocking, and irreversible. The band, who had just released their sophomore album Soup, was forced into an impossible position. Without Hoon's distinctive presence and voice, Blind Melon couldn't continue. They disbanded soon after. For fans, No Rain became both a beloved anthem and a painful reminder of what could have been. Though the band eventually reunited in the mid-2000s with a new vocalist, the magic of their early sound was tied intrinsically to Hoon's unique delivery and energy. Blind Melon's story isn't just one of disappearance, it's one of heartbreak. Their biggest hit brought joy to millions, but behind the scenes, addiction and emotional instability tore everything apart. In the end, their legacy became inseparable from a single sun-drenched song and a life cut tragically short. 4. Non-Blondes. In 1993, 4 non-blondes made global noise with a single emotional outburst that became a generational cry. What's Up with its iconic line, "What's Going On?" and Linda Perry's raw, unapologetic vocals. The song rocketed to number 14 on the Billboard Hot 100 and hit top 5 in over 10 countries, including Germany, Sweden, and Austria. But instead of capitalizing on their success, the band imploded before they could release a second album. The San Francisco-based rock group comprised of Linda Perry, Krista Hillhouse, Dawn Richardson, and Roger Rocha delivered a sound that blended alternative rock with folk angst. Their debut and only album, Bigger, Better, Faster, More sold over 6 million copies worldwide. Yet despite the accolades, Perry felt disconnected from the band's creative direction. She often clashed with record executives and disliked the final version of What's Up, claiming it didn't reflect her original artistic vision. While many considered the song a feminist anthem, Perry expressed discomfort with how the band was being packaged, something she viewed as shallow and limiting. These internal tensions grew, and just a year after achieving worldwide recognition, 4 non-blondes disbanded in 1994. Linda Perry went on to become a powerhouse songwriter and producer, crafting hits for Pink, Get the Party Started, Christina Aguilera, Beautiful, and Gwen Stefani. The rest of the band faded from the spotlight. Despite its empowering lyrics and wide cultural footprint, What's Up became both their claim to fame and the chain that fractured them. It wasn't controversy from the outside that broke 4 non-blondes. It was a creative rebellion from within. They didn't fall, they walked away. But not before leaving behind one of the 90s most enduring rock anthems. Los del Rio. In 1993, Los del Rio, a seasoned Spanish flamenco pop duo, released Macarena, a track that would ignite dance floors worldwide and top charts in at least 14 countries, including a 14-week reign at number 1 on the U.S. Billboard Hot 100 in 1996. It was playful, rhythmic, and universally adored until people figured out what the lyrics actually meant. Many fans assumed Macarena was an innocent party anthem, but in reality, the Spanish lyrics describe a woman cheating on her boyfriend with 2 of his friends while he's away in military service. This revelation clashed with the song's immense popularity at family gatherings, school events, and children's parties. English-speaking audiences were particularly shocked upon discovering the story behind the catchy chorus. Further complicating the narrative was the song's creation. During a trip to Venezuela, Antonio Romero Monge, one half of the duo, improvised lyrics inspired by a flamenco dancer named Diana Patricia. While her name didn't make the final version, it seeded a decades-long mythos around the song's origin. The chorus was later adapted and renamed Macarena after Monge's daughter. Although Macarena became a worldwide sensation, selling over 11 million copies, the duo could never match its impact. Follow-up singles failed to chart internationally, and their flamenco roots limited crossover appeal in a pop-dominated market. They became the textbook definition of a one-hit wonder, despite a long career in Spain, both before and after the hit. While not scandalous by intent, the song's masked content and public misinterpretation made Macarena a cultural paradox. Its legacy is both celebratory and controversial, a global success, hiding risque lyrics beneath a cheerful beat. Los del Rio danced their way into history with one hit and left the stage as quietly as they came. Right Said Fred. In 1991, British duo Right Said Fred stormed global charts with their cheeky single, I'm Too Sexy, a satirical jab at the narcissism of the fashion world. Fronted by brothers Richard and Fred Fairbrass, the track quickly became a global phenomenon, hitting #1 on the US Billboard Hot 100, a rare feat for a British act's debut. With its minimalist dance beat and deadpan delivery, the song walked a fine line between parody and pop genius. But controversy wasn't far behind. Many misunderstood the song's intent, taking its tongue-in-cheek lyrics at face value. Some critics labeled it vapid or narcissistic, while others called it subversive performance art. The duo, known for their openly gay-friendly image and flamboyant fashion, also clashed with more conservative radio programmers, limiting their reach in certain markets. Their follow-up singles Don't Talk, Just Kiss and Deeply Dippy saw moderate success in the UK, but failed to replicate their initial international breakthrough. Their 1992 album Up peaked at #1 in the UK, but momentum faded rapidly afterward. The band's refusal to conform to industry expectations both visually and sonically pushed them to the margins of pop culture. Despite staying active and producing new music, they became primarily known for one unforgettable hit. In recent years, Right Said Fred re-emerged in controversial ways, aligning themselves with anti-lockdown and conspiracy rhetoric during the COVID-19 pandemic, drawing further criticism and alienating parts of their fan base. Right Said. Fred didn't just vanish, they became frozen in time. I'm Too Sexy remains iconic, but the brothers have spent decades trying and failing to step out of its oversized shadow. Chumbawamba. When Tub Thumping hit airwaves in 1997, Chumbawamba, an anarcho-punk collective from England, found themselves in an unexpected position: global pop stars. The song's shout-along chorus, "I get knocked down, but I get up again," climbed to #6 on the US Billboard Hot 100 and reached the top 10 in more than a dozen countries. But for a band founded on anti-establishment principles, the spotlight created a deeply ironic crisis. The group had spent years in underground scenes writing fiercely political songs about anti-capitalism, class struggle, and anarchist ideals. So when Tub Thumping became a sports arena anthem and a political campaign song, it sparked backlash from both the media and their own fan base. Critics accused them of selling out. Longtime supporters questioned whether their sudden fame diluted their message. But Chumbawamba didn't shy away from the controversy. They used their platform to call out hypocrisy, including telling fans during interviews to steal their album if they couldn't afford it. At the 1998 Brit Awards, they famously threw a bucket of ice water on UK Deputy Prime Minister John Prescott, further solidifying their anti-establishment stance. Still, they struggled to follow up with another commercial hit. Their later work remained politically charged, but lacked mainstream traction. Albums like WISIWWYG and Ready-Mades received critical praise but failed commercially. By 2012, Chumbawamba disbanded, citing creative exhaustion and a desire to end on their own terms. In the end, Tub Thumping was both their revolution and their reckoning. Chumbawamba didn't disappear from irrelevance. They retreated, disillusioned by the very system they once sought to dismantle, proving that even rebels can be undone by the weight of accidental success. Snow. In 1992, Canadian artist Snow, born Darren O'Brien, made waves around the world with Informer, a dancehall-inspired reggae fusion track that topped the US Billboard Hot 100 for 7 consecutive weeks. The song's rapid-fire patois vocals and cryptic lyrics fascinated American audiences. But with the fame came controversy and eventual erasure from mainstream memory. Informer was based on Snow's real-life run-ins with law enforcement. He'd been arrested for assault in Toronto and later acquitted, but the song detailing snitches' incarceration and justice was recorded while he was awaiting trial. The authenticity gave it weight, but it also sparked concern over glorifying violence. What caused even greater debate was his use of Jamaican patois and reggae stylings. Snow, a white man from Toronto's Irish-Canadian community, was accused of cultural appropriation. Critics questioned whether his success in a genre deeply rooted in Black Caribbean culture was earned or opportunistic. Though he had grown up in multicultural neighborhoods and was mentored by Jamaican DJ Marvin Prince, the controversy never fully disappeared. Legal battles also followed. Disputes over songwriting credits and royalties strained his relationships with collaborators, leading to court cases that dragged on for years. While Informer sold over 8 million copies worldwide, Snow couldn't sustain the momentum. His follow-up singles charted only in Canada or niche reggae markets. He continued releasing albums, including some in Japan and Jamaica, but mainstream American radio moved on. Though Snow never officially retired, his mainstream presence melted away quickly. Informer remains a fascinating flashpoint in 1990s pop history, a mix of raw street narrative, infectious rhythm, and cultural friction that created a massive hit and a near-instant disappearance. Sir Mix-a-Lot. In 1992, Sir Mix-a-Lot, real name Anthony Ray, rocked the charts and challenged beauty norms with Baby Got Back, a bass-heavy anthem celebrating curvy women. The track shot to #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 and remained there for 5 consecutive weeks, marking a cultural moment where hip-hop collided with body image politics. But even amid praise, the song stirred intense debate. Baby Got Back was groundbreaking for its time, confronting the dominant media standards that prioritized thinness. Its opening line, "I like big butts, and I cannot lie," wasn't just a catchy hook. It was a rallying cry for inclusivity. However, critics accused the song of reducing women to physical features, sparking debates on whether it was empowering or objectifying. MTV initially banned the music video for being too suggestive, then reinstated it after public outcry. Feminist scholars and pop culture analysts were divided. Some hailed it as body positive before the term was mainstream, others saw it as exploitative. Meanwhile, its boldness made it a cultural flashpoint. Despite its enormous success, Sir Mix-a-Lot struggled to produce another hit of comparable impact. Albums like Mac Daddy and Chief Boot Naka had moderate success, but none delivered the crossover appeal of Baby Got Back. In later years, the song saw a resurgence, most notably in Nicki Minaj's 2014 hit Anaconda, which sampled the original. Sir Mix-a-Lot embraced this, but it underscored how his legacy had become tied to a single track. Though he remained active in music and business, Sir Mix-a-Lot's mainstream visibility faded. Baby Got Back lives on in commercials, remixes, and pop culture nostalgia. But the man behind it found his career permanently overshadowed by the debate he unintentionally ignited. Afroman. In 2000, Afroman-born Joseph Edgar Foreman rose from underground obscurity to global notoriety with Because I Got High, a novelty track that chronicled a spiral of missed opportunities due to marijuana use. It hit number 13 on the US Billboard Hot 100 and became an anthem for stoners, slackers, and comedy fans alike. But behind the weed-infused laughs was an artist trapped by his own joke. Afroman wrote the song in just minutes, intending it as satire. Its lo-fi production and casual delivery made it go viral before viral was even a thing, circulating through Napster college radio and word of mouth. Because I Got High earned him a Grammy nomination for Best Rap Solo Performance in 2002, and Universal Records quickly signed him. But success came with stigma. Critics dismissed him as a gimmick, and fans rarely explored his deeper catalog, which actually included social commentary, blues influence, and southern gospel tones. Being pigeonholed as the weed guy limited his radio play and brand partnerships. Some advocacy groups even criticized the song for making light of drug dependency and reinforcing lazy stoner stereotypes. After his debut album The Good Times 2001, Afroman released several independent records, but none approached the success of his breakout single. Even a 2014 positive remix of the song, this time advocating for marijuana legalization, gained attention but didn't revive his commercial momentum. He also made headlines for the wrong reasons, including a 2015 on-stage assault incident that led to public backlash, though he later apologized and faced legal consequences. In the end, Because I Got High gave Afroman fame but locked him in a caricature. His story remains a cautionary tale. Sometimes the joke that launches you is also the one that won't let you grow. Alien Ant Farm. In 2001, California-based rock outfit Alien Ant Farm catapulted to international fame with a bold move reimagining Michael Jackson's Smooth Criminal as a hard-hitting nu metal anthem. The gamble paid off. The cover soared to #1 in Australia, #3 in the UK, and reached #23 on the US Billboard Hot 100 airplay chart. It was an unexpected crossover that brought them instant recognition. But that massive hit would also be their creative burden. Originally formed in 1996, the band had built a regional following with their energetic live shows and eclectic sound. Their breakout album, Anthology, was both critically praised and commercially successful. But Smooth Criminal, intended as a fun encore song, suddenly became their defining track, eclipsing their original material almost entirely. Frontman Dryden Mitchell openly expressed concern that the cover would overshadow their own songwriting, and unfortunately, that's exactly what happened. Follow-up singles like Movies and These Days received moderate attention, but failed to match the explosive success of their MJ remake. Then tragedy struck. In 2002, while touring in Spain, the band's tour bus collided with a truck, killing their driver and seriously injuring members, including Mitchell, who suffered a fractured neck. The momentum they'd built unraveled almost overnight. Despite returning with new music, including the album Truant in 2003, Alien Ant Farm struggled to regain radio dominance. The changing landscape of rock music, combined with being branded a cover band in the eyes of mainstream media, limited their staying power. Though they continue to tour and release music with a loyal fan base, their career remains tethered to a single reinterpretation. Smooth Criminal gave them the spotlight, but it also cast a shadow they've never fully escaped. Mungo Jerry. In 1970, British group Mungo Jerry lit up global charts with In the Summertime, a carefree jug band-style anthem that radiated good vibes. Written and sung by frontman Ray Dorset, the song became a cultural staple, selling over 30 million copies worldwide and reaching #1 in over 10 countries, including the UK and Canada. It was laid-back, catchy, and deceptively simple, recorded in just one take. But with its success came friction. The group's loose lineup and informal recording process became a point of contention within the industry. Dorset's refusal to conform to polished studio standards clashed with record executives who wanted to package them into a more traditional rock act, adding fuel to the fire. Dorset's lyrics: "Have a drink, have a drive, go out and see what you can find," drew criticism for encouraging irresponsible behavior. In the growing era of drunk driving awareness, the song's casual tone was viewed by some as tone-deaf. While not banned, it received scrutiny in media circles and public safety campaigns. Subsequent singles like Baby Jump and Lady Rose saw modest success in the UK, but failed to make an international impact. Internal disputes and Dorset's creative control over the band's direction caused lineup instability. As the musical landscape shifted toward glam rock and punk Mungo, Jerry's rustic style fell out of favor. Though Dorset kept the name alive with rotating members, Mungo Jerry became largely defined by a single golden hour hit. In the Summertime remains iconic, but the group's legacy is a fleeting snapshot of 1970s optimism that couldn't survive past the season it defined. Len. In 1999, Canadian sibling duo Len delivered one of the most unexpectedly enduring summer anthems of the late 90s with Steal My Sunshine. Featuring a breezy beat, lo-fi vocals, and a catchy sample from Andrea True Connection's More, 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 the track hit #9 on the Billboard Hot 100 and went platinum in both the US and Australia. The song became synonymous with warm weather rollerblades and beachside nostalgia. But while Steal My Sunshine felt effortless, its rise to prominence was unplanned. It was initially released on the soundtrack of the film Go before becoming a standalone single. The sudden success overwhelmed Len, comprised of Mark and Sharon Costanzo, who weren't prepared to become pop stars. Their image wasn't industry polished, their live performances were inconsistent, and their DIY aesthetic clashed with major label expectations. Critics and fans were also confused by their musical direction. While Steal My Sunshine was sunny and upbeat, their other tracks were rooted in funk metal and alt-rap, causing tonal whiplash. Their 1999 album You Can't Stop the Bum Rush peaked at number 46 in the US, but none of its other songs achieved notable airplay. As quickly as they rose, they disappeared. Len's next album, The Diary of the Madman, wasn't released in the US until years later and flopped. Frustrated by the industry and the one-hit wonder label, they gradually faded from public view. In interviews, Mark later reflected on their moment in the sun, admitting it felt more accidental than intentional. While they didn't break up in scandal, their disappearance was sudden and complete. Steal My Sunshine remains their only shining mark, a perfect pop moment that proved impossible to follow. Tones and I. In 2019, Australian street performer Tony Watson, known professionally as Tones and I, exploded onto the global stage with Dance Monkey, a quirky, high-pitched anthem about the pressures of performing. Initially released independently, the song broke all kinds of records, spending 24 consecutive weeks at number 1 on the Australian ARIA Singles Chart, and topping charts in over 30 countries, including the UK. It reached number 4 on the Billboard Hot 100 in the US. But the very uniqueness that made the song famous also made it divisive. Watson's distinct vocal tone drew criticism, with some branding it grating or cartoonish. Others accused her of being a TikTok-made artist, undermining her years of busking and songwriting. As Dance Monkey grew into a cultural phenomenon, Tones and I became a polarizing figure, praised for originality, yet often dismissed as a novelty. Behind the scenes, the pressure mounted. In interviews, Watson admitted she felt boxed in by the expectations to reproduce such massive success. Her follow-up singles, including Bad Child and Fly Away, achieved regional acclaim but fell far short of Dance Monkey's global dominance. Despite winning multiple ARIA awards and continuing to tour, she struggled to shake the one-hit label. Critics noted that Dance Monkey had set an impossible bar, and her experimental style made radio success inconsistent. Tones and I never vanished entirely, but she was quickly overshadowed by the very wave she created. Dance Monkey became both her breakthrough and her cage, a viral hit that, for all its record-shattering glory, left her chasing a shadow she may never quite catch again. OMC. In 1995, New Zealand's OMC, short for Otara Millionaires Club, stunned the international music world with How Bizarre, a laid-back, genre-defying hit that blended pop hip-hop and Polynesian musical influences. The song soared to number 1 in New Zealand, Australia, Canada, and Ireland, and became a staple on US radio, despite never being released as a commercial single, stateside, a rare feat. Its quirky lyrics and earworm chorus made it unforgettable. But OMC's success was short-lived, and its behind-the-scenes story tragically tangled. Led by vocalist Pauly Fuemana, OMC's rise was steep and sudden. Yet internal tensions, creative disputes, and financial struggles began almost immediately. The band's producer Alan Jansen co-wrote and co-produced How Bizarre. But after the song's success, the partnership soured. Legal battles over royalties and authorship followed, draining both energy and resources from the group's momentum. Despite their debut album selling over 1 million copies worldwide, follow-up singles failed to chart. Their eclectic spoken-word delivery and unconventional structure didn't fit easily into late 90s pop trends. Media interest faded as quickly as it had arrived. Behind the fame, Fuemana was quietly battling health problems and financial instability. By the early 2000s, he had declared bankruptcy and withdrawn from the spotlight. Tragically, in 2010, Pauly Fuemana died of respiratory failure at just 40 years old, cementing How Bizarre as both a triumph and a tombstone. OMC didn't just vanish, they disintegrated under the weight of sudden fame, artistic fallout, and personal hardship. How Bizarre remains a global earworm and an enduring piece of 90s pop culture. but it also tells a deeper, more sobering story of unexpected stardom, creative breakdown, and the high price of a single massive hit. Sugar Ray. In 1997, California band Sugar Ray reinvented themselves and struck gold. Fly, a breezy reggae-infused track featuring Supercat, marked a sharp departure from their earlier funk metal sound. The song dominated radio, topping the Billboard Hot 100 airplay chart for 4 consecutive weeks. It became the defining sound of a carefree summer. But the sonic shift that brought them fame also alienated longtime fans and left the band chasing commercial relevance they could never fully sustain. Formed in the early 90s, Sugar Ray initially leaned into aggressive hard rock. Their debut album Lemonade and Brownies was critically panned, but their 1997 sophomore album Floored changed everything, mostly thanks to Fly. The band quickly pivoted, abandoning heavy guitar riffs for sun-drenched, radio-friendly hooks. This genre whiplash sparked accusations of selling out. Critics questioned their authenticity, and original fans were confused by the sudden transformation. Yet the formula worked temporarily. Their follow-up singles like Every Morning and Someday charted well, but none matched Fly's cultural saturation. As pop tastes evolved in the 2000s, Sugar Ray struggled to maintain their chart presence. Albums like In the Pursuit of Leisure, 2003, and Music for Cougars, 2009, failed to perform commercially. The band's image, built around beach vibes and lead singer Mark McGrath's bleach blonde charisma, began to feel dated. Though they continued to tour and release music sporadically, the mainstream had moved on. Attempts at comeback tours and new records were met with nostalgia more than anticipation. Sugar Ray's legacy rests on a few feel-good anthems and one massive shift that paid off temporarily. Fly gave them wings, but the backlash, shifting trends, and identity crisis grounded them. They didn't crash. They just drifted away, like the last echo of summer on the radio. One hit can make you a legend or bury you in its shadow. From political anthems to misunderstood novelty songs, these 20 controversial bands prove that fame is never simple. Did they disappear because of controversy, creative burnout, or the curse of unexpected success? You decide. Which story shocked you the most, and who do you think deserved a second shot? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to Uncovered Tinseltown Uncovered, and hit the bell for more untold stories that music history tried to forget.